I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Friday, July the 25th, 2014. An IDF soldier was killed late last night in Gaza. 36-year-old reservist Sergeant Major Yair Ashkenazi was killed in action in the North Gaza Strip. He leaves behind a wife and 3 children. And Ynet reports that the IDF soldier who had been declared as missing earlier this week has now been declared as dead. As we reported to you earlier this week, Staff Sergeant Oron Shaul was one of 7 members of his Golani unit in an armored personnel carrier that was hit Sunday by an anti-tank missile. Only 6 of the soldiers' bodies had been identified at the time, and Hamas had claimed that they had kidnapped Shaul, although those reports were dismissed by Israel. According to Ynet, the IDF's chief rabbi declared Shaul as dead this afternoon, saying he was killed in Sunday's incident, which would now bring the IDF casualties in Operation Protective Edge to 34. And the operation continued in Gaza today. The IDF struck 75 terror targets across the Strip, and this afternoon uncovered anti-tank missiles, grenades, and communication equipment in a South Gaza home. Rocket fire continued into Israel from Gaza as well, with 38 rockets fired into the country just this morning. 10 were intercepted by the Iron Dome missile defense system, which also took down a rocket over Israel's southernmost city of Eilat last night. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has reportedly proposed a week-long humanitarian truce as part of a ceasefire plan to Israel and Hamas. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was said to be convening his security cabinet today to discuss the plan. And Israel's newly elected president Rivlin spent his first day in office picking up from where his predecessor Shimon Peres left off, visiting families of Israel's fallen. Peres spent his last days in office consoling bereaved families, and Rivlin did the same today, traveling to the homes of 4 fallen IDF soldiers, saying it wasn't easy to deal with so much grief in such a short amount of time. Rivlin said everything in Israel starts with difficulty. Nothing comes easily. This is the reality of the neighborhood in which Israel exists. Palestinian media reports that 2 Palestinians were killed in clashes with Israeli security forces in riots across the West Bank. Over 10,000 Palestinians took part in a rally protesting Israel's actions in Gaza last night that turned violent. Israeli police said the Palestinians fired live rounds at them, and the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigades have claimed responsibility for that gunfire. 2 Palestinians were reportedly killed and 39 arrested. A 3rd Palestinian was reportedly killed in separate clashes, also in the West Bank. A new Gallup poll shows that Americans are close to being split down the middle regarding whether they feel Israel is justified or not in its actions in Gaza, with 42% saying Israel is justified, 39% saying they are not. Younger Americans are less supportive of Israel's actions in Gaza than older. In results similar to the recent Pew Research Center's poll on the same subject, 55% of those over 65, 53% of those between 50 and 64 said that Israel's actions in Gaza were justified, whereas only 36% of those 30 to 49 and just 25% of those 18 to 29 said the same. When asked about Hamas's actions against Israel, 70% of those polls said they were unjustified and 11% called Hamas's actions justified. The poll was based on 1,018 phone interviews conducted from July the 22nd through the 23rd. And Jewish leaders and communities are preparing for a national day of action for Israel this Monday to show their support and solidarity. There are simultaneous demonstrations of support planned for Washington, D.C. and New York City from Monday, July the 28th. In Washington, leaders from national organizations, federations, rabbinic and synagogue bodies from across the country will partake in the National Leadership Assembly, led by the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations, which is also expected to include addresses from top administration officials, congressional leaders, and others, reflecting bipartisan support and unity with Israel at this critical time. And the New York Stands with Israel rally will take place Monday as well at 12:30 in the afternoon at Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza. Organized by a wide array of Jewish organizations, including the Conference of Presidents, the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York, The UJA Federation of New York, the New York Board of Rabbis, the Union for Reform Judaism, the United Synagogue of Conservative Judaism, the National Council of Young Israel, and the Orthodox Union. Executive Vice President of the OU, Alan Fagan, said, "Now more than ever is a crucial time to demonstrate our tangible support for Israel and its citizens." He said on Monday, "We will unite together with our partners across the Jewish community to rally on Israel's behalf," saying it is vital that we demonstrate in large numbers that the Jewish community stands with Israel and will do everything in our means to guarantee its safety and security. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Friday, July the 25th, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader. Remember, live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock here on Shalom TV and shalomtv.com. Shabbat Shalom.